Okay guys, today we are going to be checking out my new rangefinder. This is the Diamondback HD2000 laser rangefinder. I got this so I could use it for hunting primarily. I also do golf, a handful of times a year, so I could also use it for that as well, but primarily this is going to be used for hunting. So there's a lot of different rangefinders out there that you can choose from. Vortex, has probably almost a dozen or half a dozen different versions of their rangefinders, all different quality, different glass, different features. I decided on this Diamondback HD2000 just because nice balance between cost and the feature set that I need. So this is the first rangefinder that I've actually bought for myself. I have a lot of friends that have them. And family members that use them for either hunting or for golf, and I've used them as well. Vortex makes ones that are over $1,000, and other brands as well, like Loophole, and there's just a ton of rangefinders out there on the market. So it is kind of tough to make a decision on which one's going to be the best for you. My budget, I personally didn't have $1,000 to spend on a rangefinder, especially not my first one. So comes in this box here. It's the Diamondback HD2000, and it comes in this little pouch here. So this comes out here. The construction and the feel is pretty good. It's a kind of a hard rubberized plastic, but it doesn't feel cheap, which is good. It does seem like this will definitely withstand the elements, rain, snow, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if this one is waterproof. I'm sure it's weather resistant and it does well with rain and the elements, but I don't know how well this would do if you dropped it in a creek or something like that. But that is a good question. If anybody knows, please leave that in the comments. I'll probably have this in my chest pack, or if I go ahead and get a bino harness this season, I'll get a dedicated pouch for this to kind of sit right there next to my binos. But you can always put it on your belt here, or even in your pocket. I mean, it's small enough. That's one thing I do like about it. It's pretty handy. So the buttons you have on the top, you have a menu button, and then you have your button that measures your distance. It's really straightforward to use. The battery is here. It's a toolless entry, which is nice if you're in the field and you don't have a screwdriver. You can just easily pop this open, turn it, and put in a new battery. It does have a screw thread here. If you wanted to put this on a tripod, you can do that, which is definitely a good option. And yeah, I mean, overall the fit and finish is pretty good on this HD2000. Okay, so let's get into some of the specs of this rangefinder, magnification and the specs. All right, so the range of this, it's saying the max reflective range is 2,000. Tree up to 1,800 yards, a deer or an animal up to 1,400 yards, which is really good. And then the minimum focus is 5 yards, which is pretty close. Probably don't need to use it for something at 5 yards. Field of view is decent, and the eye relief is 16 millimeters. I did notice the eye relief isn't great on this. You kind of do really need to get your eye up to this. It's it's not the end of the world. I think for the cost of this, it's pretty good, and the glass is decent. Now, I haven't used this for hunting yet. I've had it out in the yard, I've had it out in the woods and just testing. It does seem to be very accurate, and it does seem that the ranging is on point. And what I mean by that is when I aim this at a particular object and press the button, the laser sensor is right on. So the way you can kind of test and make sure that your readings are correct and that your ranging is on point is you can look up towards the sky and find a tall tree branch or something that's unobstructed by other items. And what you can do is you can press down this button, and if you hold it down, you can put it into scan mode. And what scan mode does is it gives you a continuous reading of whatever you're scanning. So if you hold that down, what you can do is you can aim to the side and then scan to your object and then to the left of the object. And basically what that allows you to do is see if you're getting the reading when it's pointing directly at the object and when the reading stops. And I was happy to find that this one is right on. Now, if it's off, I don't know if there's a way you can fix that within your rangefinder. You may have to send it in and make sure that it's calibrated. Again, I don't know. If somebody does know, please leave that in the comments. Also, on your ocular lens here, to focus, you just turn that. You have some points here where you can put it on a lanyard. Okay, so the ranging modes that you have with this rangefinder, you have 3. So you have horizontal component distance, or HCD, you have line of sight, and you have scan mode, which I briefly talked about earlier. So scan mode would be you're just holding down the button and it's giving you a reading wherever you're aiming at it. So what you could do is if you see a deer, you can range them, you can hold down the button and it's going to give you a reading as it's moving forward. Or you can just hold it down and just get readings of things as you're kind of panning. So that's scan mode. Next we have line of sight mode, which is, kind of self-explanatory. Wherever you aim this in range, you're going to get a direct reading of the distance from you to that point. Now that's not going to compensate for any elevation, so you need to keep that in mind. It will give you an angle. It'll give you your distance, and it will also give you an angle. Say 5 degrees, 10 degrees, or more, up or down. So it'll give you a reading of that angle, which is good. And then there's the mode that kind of is standard in this, that it sort of comes set up for, which is the HCD, or horizontal component distance, which is basically your angle compensation. And the way that works is, say you're hunting in the mountains or from a tree stand or from an elevated or a lower position, it does the calculations of your elevation and your angle with your distance, and it gives you a reading based off of that. Why that's critical is if you're shooting from a distance and you want to get your calculations correct, you want to dial in your scope correctly, you need to know your angle as well as your distance. Okay, if you just dial in the distance and you're on an angle, you're probably going to be shooting lower or higher, most likely higher. So the great thing about this HCD mode is it compensates that angle for you, and you're good to go. You can take that number and put it into your equation for setting up your shot. So I almost exclusively run this in the HCD mode. I can't really think of a reason why I would ever use this in line of sight. I know they say for longer distance shots, like beyond 500 yards and a steep angle, then it may be more accurate to do line of sight and also get your reading for the angle and take that data and put it into a ballistic calculator with wind and all that kind of stuff. You'll get a more accurate reading of where you're supposed to aim. I'm not likely going to be shooting past 500 or 600 yards. So, I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm just going to keep it in this HCD, the angle compensation mode, and I'll be good to go. So yeah, the clarity of the glass is pretty good. I will say I did test in the store some of the $1,000 ones. The eye relief, the clarity, all of that stuff is nowhere near as good as the $1,000 versions of these rangefinders. But again, I don't have $1,000 right now in the budget for a rangefinder. And this one seemed to be kind of the best bang for your buck. It is better than kind of the $100, the $150 ones. I've heard a lot of things of them not being super accurate with the reading, so it just seemed like the best choice for me. So I'm excited to get this out in the field, to use this hunting, and to get some real world data on how I feel about this, and just see how it performs. And after the season, I'm definitely going to do an updated review, just let you guys know how it goes. Thanks again for tuning in. Please like and subscribe if you're liking this content. Also, if you guys like this rangefinder and you want to buy it, I'm going to put a link in the description where you can find it. Again, this is the Vortex Diamondback HD2000. Thanks again for tuning in.